Focus with Robert Painley. So I'm kind of flying a little solo again this evening here. So hopefully everything will work well and everybody can hear me okay. Just want to start off the show with a couple, as I always do, with a couple housekeeping tips of things that you should be mindful of. One, I'm going to probably keep the show a little bit shorter this evening from the standpoint of there is the political debates are this evening. So I want to make sure that everybody has time to tune in and watch them and get comfortable before that happens. The other thing is that I want people to understand that I heard a long time ago the 3 B's of speech making, which are be good, be brief, and be gone. So tonight I'm going to try and do all 3 of those things. And hopefully you'll find what I have to say this evening good. The aspects of things that I want to talk about tonight really have to go with the challenges of being a light worker and how we can support one another and how we can help one another, but all of the unique things that make a life worker's life challenging. As a life coach, I try to find ways to help people with their life. And I think today's episode is going to be a little bit more about how to help light workers or people that are gifted in some way to be a little bit better with what they do and how to help them a little bit. So I did make a lot of notes today. So I'm going to try and get through all those notes. So bear with me as I try to do that. Before we get started, one, if you haven't looked yet on the Enlightened World Network, Terry Angel is doing a large trip across the country. And I want you to go on there and please find her journey and support her journey if you can. There were some emails that were sent out. I believe it's also on the Enlightened World Network on how to help support her in this endeavor. So do try and do that if you can. I'm getting a little bit of light someplace. Let me see if I can get rid of the light here. That would be helpful. Hey, no, I look red again. So try to do that. She's got a great journey and it's inspirational and it really is an amazing journey that she's on. So I won't take her thunder and talk all about her journey. I'll let you discover that on your own. The other thing is my husband, Mark Bianchi, is not on tomorrow. He will be on next week on Wednesday at noon for Mindfulness with Mark Bianchi. So please check out his show as well. The topic for tonight, again, is going to be regarding light workers. But before I get there, I've got bags under my eyes here a little bit because I had a rough week. I had a rough last couple of days. And that has to do with some personal issues in my life that I've kind of had a little bit of an epiphany about in the last, I would say 6 hours or so. But it's led me down kind of a darker path for a few days. Not from a loss of faith perspective, but from a fact that I was being challenged and challenged to grow in my spiritual gifts. So every now and again, I do get a growth spurt. And I think we all do. I think, again, that's one of the things that we'll talk about as a light worker that we can always continue to grow. And this has been a huge growth spurt. And there are many reasons for that. And sometimes it's because of people that come into our lives. It's because Spirit wants us to move in a particular direction, or there's answers to our prayers in some way to acquire these gifts that we feel that we need, or that Spirit tells us that we need that we aren't even aware of. And we're giving these gifts so that we can help others or help, clients, whether they're, obviously clients or other light workers, or just for your own personal development, something that you may need. By the way, you may see things popping on my ears today. I did want to try this. I hear that the quality of the sound of what I'm saying is better this way rather than doing it from a distance. So we're going to try it this time on the show. So let me get to the epiphany that I had over the course of the last couple of days and what kind of led me to the decisions that I've come to. And meeting Rosie Shapiro a week ago, she helped me open up my third eye more, which was fantastic. But with that and working with someone of that caliber, sometimes there is an exchange of energy. And the energy that I get from Rosie is obviously amazing energy and very, God's highest energy to try to help and heal. That's what she's all about. I was privileged enough to be with her and work with her and to be around that energy. And I think that helped to open me up and expand my own gifts in certain ways. But in addition to that, I think that spirit sometimes put challenges in our way so that we from them and that we get whatever type of information or life lesson we're supposed to get. And recently, my husband and I have been victims of, I'll just, in a general sense, shenanigans in our neighborhood. And I won't go into all the details because the details aren't what's important here. It's that we felt victimized. We felt bullied. We felt that our voices weren't being heard. We feel that we were violated in a variety of ways. When you're a victim of crime in some way, that's the feeling that you get, is this victimization and this sense of insecurity that comes along with it. Through that process, I got very angry and not proud of myself that I can get that angry. But I did. It's been a constant deal that my husband and I have had to deal with for quite a while where we live. And it came to a boiling point with me recently. And through that process, the anger that I felt and this almost a pettiness in a way to deal with a problem, I think led me down to a place where I just didn't feel like myself anymore. I didn't feel like the light worker that I am. And then I realized it's a challenge. How do I get rid of this? How do I work through this? And the messages from my spirit guides and from my teachers and from higher powers than that were about forgiveness for me and how to put this forgiveness into my daily life more than I have, and to sincerely forgive. There's two types of forgiveness. I can forgive other people, but I also have to be able to forgive myself. Both of them are equally as important to your spiritual development and your spiritual growth. So we're going to get into that in another show, but I wanted to explain the bags under my eyes, number one. The other thing that I wanted to do was to explain to people that even though we are light workers, we face problems and challenges every day in our lives. And it doesn't make us any, I mean, we are different as light workers because we see, sense, and feel different things, but it makes we're human in that regard, that we do suffer from the same emotions and challenges as everybody else, but there are some unique challenges to being a light worker. And those are some of the things that I kind of discovered. Again, it kind of brought them to fore by having this situation present itself in my life, be able to work through it, and have a better sense of peace. Because when I was holding on to those emotions of anger and maybe vindictiveness or anything of that nature, because of being violated in a variety of ways, it made me reflect on my gift and how this has an impact on what I do, and can potentially have a very bad impact on what I do if I just don't let it go. It's one thing to say that you forgive somebody. It's another thing to actually soul search, understand your vulnerabilities and your place in this world and the gift that you have, and how these emotions can have a negative impact on that, either short term or long term. And through this process, I really felt that this was going to have a profound effect on me if I didn't learn to let some things go, particularly things that are relatively petty in the grand scheme of life. Even though, I don't care how you feel violated or feel attacked or feel, bullied. I think that any of those circumstances, from a lesser degree to a greater degree, always are going to have an impact on the human psyche. It's learning how to address that and learning how to forgive. And as a life coach, I do this all the time with my clients. But what I find it more challenging to do is do it for myself, because it's hard to take and look in the mirror and have your soul reflected back. You get to see the physical presence reflected back at you, but it's very difficult to see the soul reflected back at you. I think what people don't understand many times is that when I go to a client's home, the package can be pretty, but it could have dark secrets to it. And the other side of the coin is there may be people there that have limitations or just may not appear to have it together as we would consider it in some capacity, whether it's how they take care of themselves, their cleanliness, or what they are, but it doesn't mean that they can't have a phenomenal soul, and that's often the case. So when I meet with clients, I want to stress the first thing that as a light worker, look beyond the facade, because the facade is never what's important. And quite frankly, it can be a challenge to look through that which is presented in front of your eyes and get to the soul matter. So when I go to people's homes, the first thing I do is I don't even notice. I quite frankly, most of the time will leave homes. I won't remember what the furniture looked like. I won't remember what the house looked like. And I always get the apology when I come to someone's home. I'm so sorry. The house isn't clean. It doesn't need. It wasn't whatever. I see none of that because I feel the energy in the home because that's what I'm going there to do. But I also feel that with my clients. I'm going there to find out what is going on with the client, where they are spiritually, what's happening with them, the messages that they require. It really requires none of the physicality that I have with the client, which is why I'm able to do what I do by Skype or in other or by FaceTime or however that works. You need to look beyond that. So please, stop looking at people and how they present themselves and try to get down and figure out a way to remove that from the equation and just get down to the soul, because that's what matters. That's what we're all going to try to help. That's what we're, at the end of the day, as a light worker, you're trying to figure out how to help the person that you're working with and give them messages that are going to be helpful in some manner to their future life journey. That being said, I just want people to keep that in mind because the exterior doesn't always match the interior, and it goes in various degrees with every person. So I want to start there, I think, as a light worker, and talk about some of the challenges that we do have in working with our clients. And from if you're a client watching this show, how you present yourself and what you do to a light worker and how you work with a light worker is just as important. So we're both trying to get in sync with the energy and find a way that we can work together, because this isn't the medium comes and tells you what to do. This is you working in tandem with a medium so that you can get the best information out there that you can. Because again, while I may see and speak to spirit, I don't know their entire life. I don't know your entire life. So sometimes answers and give and take are required so that it's a successful process. So I'm going to start with the first one, which is judgment. And judgment works in a variety of ways. It's my judgment of the client, the client's judgment of me, my judgment of what I'm getting and perceptions I'm getting from the soul that has crossed, perhaps, and finding out and reminding light workers that judgment comes in a variety of ways, and to, again, remove yourself from any or all judgments as it comes to working with a client or a soul that may have crossed. So from a client perspective, I get a lot of information, and that information can be abusive in nature, something that may have happened to the client. It can be their own life journey. They can have addictions. They can have other things going on in their life, infidelities, and all types of things where there could be guilt associated with those. And as a medium, you do pick up on that energy, but you have to try to refrain from how you address that, because you can shut your client down by addressing that in the wrong way. I think my years as a manager in multiple corporations and working as an HR in an HR capacity, tacitly in some of those capacities, I became adept at being able how to couch things very well for my clients. So I think that you'll find that it's a skill set that you need to be very successful as a medium or as a psychic, to try to figure out how people are going to be receptive to the information that you give. Now, I've gone to psychics and mediums myself, not many, but I have. And one of the things that I do get from them sometimes they're very abrupt. I'm not a person who likes my information. I'm a straightforward guy, and I do give information kind of very bluntly. I think many people who have worked for me in the past would tell you that I can be a blunt guy, but I'm blunt with those who can take it, because I don't want it to be misconstrued in any capacity. Because sometimes if I have to flower it up, maybe they won't get the message. So if I can be blunt with people, I will be blunt with them. But you need to be able to know your clients and be able to sense what they can or can't accept, and how they can accept that information. There are many people out there who always are very flowery and try not to go direct. I think that sometimes is a mistake. It does a disservice to the client, because they sometimes need that directness to make an impact in their life. Too flowery sometimes can lead people to think that it's not important, that the message is important. And if Spirit is taking the time to come through to deliver these messages, try to stick to the message. Don't try to interpret the message, flower it up in some way, and deliver it, because sometimes the client will also know by the tone, by the verbiage that you're utilizing, that this is from the person, and know that it's actually coming from them, and may take more credence in the message. So get it to them as clean as you possibly can. And if you don't feel that they're able to accept it that way, then let them know that you're altering the message in some way, because that too may help them understand that while the message may not be as the person on the other side would give it to them, that the tone of the message and the context of the message is being delivered in full. Okay. Again, I'm going to take a brief segue to talk about mediums and psychics. They're two different things, and I think that a lot of people don't understand that. And again, all mediums are psychic. Not all psychics are mediums. Mediums directly communicate with people and spirit, or other entities that have crossed or are on another plane, perhaps. And so that's direct communication with people, or spirit, or whatever, or an entity not living, breathing, interacting on this plane. Okay. And a psychic will tap into auras and tap into whatever tool they may utilize to look perhaps at future events and give you specifics about things that can happen, will happen, should happen, or specific information. Understand that the types of information that you're getting from these two types, different distinct um, uh, ways of communicating, will provide you with different types of messages. So when I'm giving messages to people from a loved one that is no longer on this plane, what happens is that they're giving them messages usually for their higher good, and maybe giving a couple of validations so that the client knows who they are specifically, and then proceeding to give messages that are intended for that person's higher good. But typically, from a mediumship perspective, I'm not going to be able to say with any, I'm not going to tap into whether or not you should take a new job or something of that nature. That's not where that information usually goes. It's not usually incredibly specific in that way. That when, as a medium, I'll tap into the psychic side of things to try and maybe get information if a client has specific questions. But that usually is not answered via mediumship. So know who or what you're trying to accomplish through this type of hiring a medium or a psychic, or a medium that has good psychic abilities with them, because not all mediums will tap into or resonate with tarot cards or other avenues. Psychics can usually tap into and commercialize their talents much easier than a medium can. Mediums have a difficult time doing that, because sometimes through that commercialization of what they do, sometimes it becomes challenging with their gift. It doesn't happen all the time, and I'm not saying, I'm not having people worry out there, but I work with a lot of with hauntings and things of this nature from the mediumistic side of what I do. I also do work with tarot cards, and I do so also work with other types of things so that I can do psychic readings. So it's okay, and I try and come up with a balance there in what I do. But a lot of mediums can't. A lot of mediums will go through, have a regular day job, but do and utilize their mediumship to help others in a variety of ways, however they choose to do so. More as an avocation than an actual job that they do. So know what you're trying to accomplish when you do hire a medium or hire a psychic, what you're trying to do. And it's also helpful to me when I get a client that they let me know what they want out of the experience, so I can kind of gauge and gear what I do, because my frequency for mediumship is different than my my radar for what I need to do on a psychic level. So it lets me know how I need to work and conduct a session. So again, wanted to throw that in there because I'm gonna use I don't like to throw those two. A lot of people use those terms interchangeably. They are completely not interchangeable from the aspect. They're two different skill sets, which have two different avenues to them on how mediums and or psychics work. But again, all mediums can do psychic work, but understand that that information that you're getting is not usually being from that psychic information is not usually being delivered from a medium source, okay, a mediumistic source on the other side. So let's talk about other things from a light worker. We talked a little bit about judgment, but we also have judgment from the other side. I've worked with clients before where the spirit itself has been judgmental. Again, they don't know me from Adam when I go there. I usually ask my clients before I go see them to invite the spirit to talk to me, because again, the spirit will feel much more comfortable working with someone that has been invited. So I always ask my clients the day usually before I go see them, hey, Robert Painley is coming to see me. Can you just, if you have a message, please know that Robert's a good guy, and I've invited him over to the house. So this would be a great time for you to communicate with me. And just as a side note, I did do that once, more than once, but the last time I did that, I went to go see Kim Russo. And Kim was doing a show here in Fort Lauderdale. And my husband and I went to the show. Last minute, we decided to go. And right on the way into the theater, invited 3 people that we wanted to hear from at the reading if they decided to come through. And sure enough, Kim walked through the audience and she gave us those 3 specific people, had messages for us, and she delivered them. So it does make a difference. I had not done that in the past with other mediums that I have gone to see publicly. Rosie Shapiro knows me very well, and she's able to tap in to everybody because they know how comfortable I am with Rosie. But from the perspective of you taking a medium in that you've never met before and inviting him into your home or talking with them on the phone, throw that information out, because I have had spirits that have not wanted to speak with me or have kept their energy so far back that there makes it more challenging for me to read. So take the time, the opportunity to get into a prayerful state and just say, hey, look, Robert's coming here. I do my prayers before I get there to try and invite them in as well, if I know who they are. So a lot of times I will ask my clients who they want to come through so that I can try and tap into that energy. And I suggest that any other medium do that as well. The more that connected you can be to the other side with specificity, that's going to help you out immensely with your gift. So do try and do that, and look to do that, because not that they're so judgmental, but I've had spirits where I've asked very personal questions with spirit, where I've been told in not so many kind words to mind my own business, that they will get that information to my client in another way rather than me delivering it, because they weren't sure that I was going to get the information and convey it in an accurate manner. And they were a little bit of control freaks in life, and they wanted to make sure that I could do that. And the other aspect of that is that they may not want that information out. So they may want to just work with and keep things, quote unquote, in the family, and not have a third party deliver that type of information, whatever it happens to be. It's run the gamut for me, from crimes that have been committed to or may have been committed. I can't say with assurance that they were, or or that they felt that they had committed crimes, or they felt that they weren't in a good place when they committed acts and they didn't think that they were going to cross over into God's light for whatever reason, maybe being very religious, but also that the spirit is in some way confused about the information that I'm going to give, and that distrust or that insecurity on the part of the spirit will have them sometimes back off. So just to be cognizant of the fact that you don't only, it's not only judgment of your client, but it's a judgment of the spirits on the other side that could hinder a very positive interaction. And you want to try and smooth that out as much as possible before you encounter spirit, or before you to go to your client's home. Another one I want to talk about is overconfidence. I think that's a huge one. You want to be confident with your abilities, but you don't want to promise your clients that you can do something that you can't. I have found that some mediums tend to overstate what they're feeling, and it's okay to state just what you get. Don't try to flower that up too much. Don't try to go down a road that may be a dead end. If you're getting a piece of information, give the information that you're getting. And if the client has a follow-up question to it, then try to tap in more. But don't try to overinflate or overthink the information that you're giving. It has led me to problems in the past where I have gotten a symbol for something. And I know, I'm positively sure I know what that symbol means. And I'll talk with the client. And sure enough, they have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about. And from that perspective, I will hammer and hammer, trying to move along the line of trying to figure out what information they're supposed to be receiving. And we're at an impasse. I may sit there for 10 minutes trying to convince them that somehow this symbol that I'm getting is germane in their life. And turns out that then I'll just say, well, they're showing me a bull, and bull always means this to me. And they'll say, oh, bull, my family had a bull manufacturing company. And I wouldn't have gotten that, but bull was important to them. So again, ridiculous analogy, but I'm just trying to let you know that stick with what you're getting. I think one of the things that I overinflated when I first started many moons ago, telling people what I was getting, to stick to the facts of what I'm getting, not say, for example, I'm saying I'm getting apple, therefore, that's a symbol for teacher. So you have a teacher in your family. And now I just say, they're showing me an apple. How does that resonate with your family, so that I don't misconstrue that to mean teacher, or that your family owned an apple orchard. So try to figure out for yourself how to get that place of not being overconfident with what you perceive you're getting, and stick to the facts that you're actually getting. It's going to make your readings much better. Okay. Another one is please, please, please. It needs to stop in the community, because there's a lot of people, this wasn't grammatically correct. There are a lot of people out there who are sometimes envious of other people's gift. Envy is a horrible emotion, because it's another one of those emotions that doesn't serve you at all. The only thing it does is hinder you in what you're trying to do. So if you're envious of other people, understand you're given the gift that you're given, and the gifts that you're given can usually grow, but they won't grow if you're putting these types of emotions into your psyche, into your gift, because it's limiting. It actually has the opposite effect of what you want. If you're envious of somebody else's gift, don't be envious of what they are. Maybe work with that person. Try and figure out and pray for additional clarity. Pray for additional whatever you think that you're lacking in your development. Pray on that. Ask for that. But don't be envious of somebody else's, because it actually is detrimental to your own gift. Stay true to your gift, stay true to your calling. There's a reason that you get the gifts that you get, and there's a reason that you don't have others. For example, I don't get to see the other side. There are many mediums that I know who get to see the other side of the veil. I'm not one of them. And while it does kind of irritate me from time to time that I don't get to see that, there has to be a reason why I don't. And it can range from anything from maybe I will like it so much that I don't want to live in this world, or I see things that I won't understand or aren't that I'm not ready for, not prepared for. So I don't get to see that side. I get to see and work with souls that are either trapped or that get to visit that aren't in that space at the moment that are visiting, and souls that are on this plane. Also, sometimes dimensional things or beings and angelic realm, and sometimes other realms that I dislike immensely. And that's the type of that's what I get to deal with. That's my purpose. That's my gift. That's what I'm supposed to be doing. So my job is to move souls that are challenged or problematic or causing problems in a home or a business or on land, and get them into God's light. That's what I'm supposed to do in a nutshell. Other people may be able to hear spirit only for a particular reason, but there could be acute clarity to the messages that they're receiving. I'm not clear all the time. Sometimes the spirit isn't clear. But someone else may have immense clarity. Some people may be able to see better than I see. Some people may be able to do other things. I ask for those gifts. I don't say, I wish I had so-and-so's gift. That's not what is going to help you in yours. Understand, be thankful for the gift that you have. Be thankful that you're able to hopefully use that. Ask spirit to put people in your path to help develop that gift and to nurture that gift. Nurture the gift yourself, the gifts that you're given. Ask for more if you want. Spirit will give you what you usually ask for if that's something on your life path that you're supposed to have and work with. But if you don't get it, it's not, it's not a time to curse anybody or be jealous of anybody. Work with the gifts that you have and try to figure out how to utilize those gifts best to help the rest of spirit kind, because that's the reason you have the gift. So work on that. It's hard to do. It's a human emotion. Much like I told you, my anger was a very human emotion before when I first started the show. You need to step back and say that jealousy, that envy and all these types of things are a negative emotion that directly have an impact on your gift and your ability to be able to do and to utilize the gift that you're actually given. So try and figure out a way to step back from that. And sometimes it takes meditation. Sometimes it takes prayer. Sometimes it just takes talking with another medium to figure out how to best do that. But do try. I know it's not always easy. We're here. We're human. We're fallible. We have emotions. It's very difficult to take our emotions out of what we do. But I will guarantee you that once you do that, the gift that you are given will be able to grow and flourish in ways that you never anticipated, as long as you stick in God's light, doing what He wants you to do with the gift that He gave you. Okay? That's the fourth point, I think. No, it's the third point. It's the fourth point. Is kind of in tandem to that, is not being satisfied with our own gift. And that doesn't require that you're jealous. Sometimes it's just frustrating because you wish you could do something better. I can't tell you how many times I've actually been with a client and, it's I'm pulling teeth to try and get information, try and help my client. And a lot of times I may, tell them about 12 relatives who have passed that all have messages, but the one person that they wanted to hear from is the one person I'm not getting anything from. And I will try and I'll try. And quite frankly, sometimes the harder you try, the more difficult it is to get that information. So try to give yourself a little bit of a break. Be satisfied with the information that you've given and be honest with your client. I mean, sometimes it's been challenging even for me. When I'm with a client and tell them, okay, I gave you 12 people here. That's all I got. I'm not able to get this other one. I apologize, but I get what I get. Usually the client gets what they need, not what they want. And you have to understand that that's how it works for you as well. You're going to get what the client needs, not what you want to give the client. So give yourself a bit of a break. Don't, pat yourself on the back that you got 12 wonderful messages that hopefully the client can learn from and hopefully is impactful in some way to their life. But from a client perspective as well, you need to understand that a medium is not going to be an end all or be all source. They don't have the expectation that they're going to be able to answer every question that you have. That's not their purpose. The purpose of a medium and sometimes a psychic is to give you the information that you need at that time, because a mediumship reading is basically a snapshot of your life at that moment, at that time. So you really need to make sure that you don't set up false expectations for yourself. Take the message that you get, be appreciative of them, and of the medium that brings them to you, because it does take a lot of energy to give you, to tap into the other side, to live in two worlds simultaneously, to do that. So be appreciative of that gift. And mediums, also protect yourself. When you do this, make sure that you are rejuvenating and that you are grounding yourself afterwards, so that you can have some peace of mind, and that you don't wear out your gift. You're no use to anybody if you aren't able to do and utilize the gift that God gave you to be able to function appropriately and at your best capacity. Okay, so I hope that's helpful. I think that one thing too, point number 5 here, would be making sure that you don't think that you know everything. Keep learning, keep trying to learn. There's one thing that I don't do. I don't like to read other mediums. I don't like to be told from another medium that I'm not doing something right, that if I did something else, it would be better. That's not my forte. That's just not what I do. I do teach other mediums, but it's a collaborative effort, in the fact that I can understand their gifts. I'm told what their gifts are, how they're able to utilize it, and then try to develop those pieces of their gift on their journey. But I would never tell somebody that unless you do something the way that I do it, you're doing it wrong. The only way that I would change that, and the only caveat I would add to that, would be on protection. I do listen to people on protection very closely, as my gift started and as my gift has grown. So too has my need for additional protection, and prayer, and meditation and grounding. So all of these things, as your gift continues to grow, you do need to modulate what you do and how you do it. Please take that into account. But always continue to try to grow. So growth for me is, you can, understand and learn from different religions, what they believe, what their basis is of the religion itself, how they work and operate. So these are things that you're going to want to probably learn, because down here in South Florida, I work with Hindus and Muslims and Jews and Santeros and Christians and you name it, Native Americans, and all of them have their own unique belief structure and potential religion itself associated with it. So be mindful of that. And I think that you'll have better readings if you could understand where your client is coming from and their belief basis. Because sometimes I've had to couch what I say to people based on their religious beliefs and based on their knowledge of religion or knowledge of spirituality, so that it makes sense to them and it can help them. If you don't have that basis, you may be doing your clients a bit of a disservice, because you're not giving them something that they can understand in a conceptual picture of what they're meant to understand out of the process. Okay. I think number 6 would be basically just the acceptance of who we are and what we do. Accept that you're a light worker, accept that you're an empath, accept that you're a psychic. I think in years past, this was always problematic for a lot of people. It was challenging because it wasn't as widely as accepted or quote unquote mainstream as it is now. I mean, I'm on a channel right now that spends all day dedicated to helping people, helping people find their center, helping people be more in tune with their spiritual self. And this channel wouldn't have existed. Obviously, well, the internet did exist when I was a kid, but this channel wouldn't have existed years ago. And the acceptance and the amount of people out there that are seeking this kind of guidance and this acceptance is just growing exponentially, particularly in times that are challenging, particularly in times where we're facing a pandemic, where we're facing a little bit of political upheaval at the moment, where we're facing, not being able to see some of our loved ones, or move about, or just even have our work-life balance as it was before, because now we're working from home, or we're teaching our children, we're trying to be teachers, we're trying to be husbands, wives, lovers, um, and a work colleague, um, and a mentor, or whatever we're trying to do. There's so many hats that we're wearing today that we're kind of forced into, and that makes our life more challenging. So do kind of accept who you are in this process, and embrace it. I didn't embrace my gift for a long time. I knew I had it. I fought it for many, many years. And Spirit finds a way of making sure that you do address it in some capacity. Even the challenges that they put me through in the last week, it's for my higher good, and I just had to accept that. I don't like it, but I had to accept. So I'm just kind of letting you all know that it's okay to be who you are in this way. Some people aren't going to understand it. Some people may ridicule you for it. Some people may not believe you, or think that you don't have a gift. But understand, you're not crazy. I think there are many psychics and many mediums that grow up and think that they're crazy because of what they're seeing. And quite frankly, the clients also, when they've never seen anything before, and now they have this energy or something in their house that they haven't had before, that comes to fore, and now it kind of makes the belief system that they've had all their life, that ghosts don't exist, and it brings that into question. It's hard for some people to really identify with that type of energy. So do try to figure out how you can accept yourself, accept the gift, ignore the ridicule or the badgering, or because your job is not to convince other people of what you do. It's basically to be authentic to yourself and present yourself with the gift that you have. And the people that need to interact with you will find you, or you will find them. And you'll be able to utilize that gift in the way that God intended, and the way that you need to use it to get that side of that self-satisfaction from utilizing a gift that you have, and utilizing it to help others. Okay, so do try and be that way. I know it's hard and challenging and difficult, but it gets easier every day. 40 years from now, this will never be an issue, because people will have a better understanding of it. But we're still in a transition time, and you're leading the way. Be brave, be bold, and accept the gifts that you have, and show the gifts that you have, and share those gifts with those that you love and know, and people that you can help. Okay. Lastly, on this journey, because I think we're running much longer than I thought I would actually run today, but also one cautionary tale is how much to say and what not to say. That I've known, and I know many mediums and many psychics, and many people have absolutely no problem saying just about anything that they get. I do not. For example, I won't read death. I don't see an upside to it, unless the person is in the final throes of as it were, of their journey, and they need to know specific information of maybe what's going to happen, how it's going to occur, and that sort of thing, to give them peace of mind. Then I will go down that road, and I've only done that twice in 57 years, so it doesn't happen often for me, but it has happened. But I also refrain from giving very specific legal advice and medical advice, because there's no benefit to it, quite frankly. I don't want to scare. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a lawyer. So I would not give out that type of advice. And, I think many clients expect you to do that for them. If they ask you that, ask a lawyer, the question. I wouldn't ask a plumber to come to my house and then have him install drywall. So you're asking somebody to do something that they're not trained or qualified to do. So, or make it an ample question. Maybe can't I, what's the feeling that you get with this individual, this lawyer, or maybe something ancillary to the case that has to do with, that is spirit related. But if it's specifics to, what amount should I put on line 57 of my tax return, is not something that you should be going to a medium to ask, or to a psychic to ask. These are specific questions for other fields. Don't get trapped as a medium, don't, or a psychic, don't get trapped into providing an answer here. I don't find to myself that it would be beneficial in any way. And quite frankly, to the client should not be asking you that type of a question. So if you're out there and this is the type of specificity that you want as it's related to a different profession, find out from that profession, please. That's not what mediumship is for. That's not what psychics are for. We can give sometimes with specificity information, but it's really not related to those two fields. Now, I have no problem if I go see somebody and I say, look, I'm feeling that you're suffering from headaches, and they say, oh yes, I am. I'm like, what I'm sensing is that you need to have this checked out. But I won't say, I won't give, some type of, fancy a discussion or entertain that type of specificity in what I'm trying to do. I don't think it's beneficial to anybody, and it puts a medium on or a psychic on a spot. And it really, I think, psychic or medium might possibly do a disservice to any potential client. So, I think understanding those balances, I think, is important for both sides, and your expectations should be set accordingly. Okay. So, with that said, let me see if there's any questions out there real quick before we go here today. And I think I'm on the Enlightened World Network channel. So if you have anything that's out there, let me know. It looks like there's a couple here, but then no questions. I was trying to find one thing here beforehand. If you would, please continue to say prayers for Matthew Delfino. Matthew is in the hospital, and he is recovering, thankfully. But do keep him in your prayers. And there is and I hope I get his name right, and I will put it out there in writing later, because I did this and I didn't write down Tim's last name, but I believe it's Hutchinson. But Tim is having some setbacks as well. So I will put it out here, but if people will say keep Tim in the prayers as well for a speedy recovery, that would be fantastic. If you ever have somebody, this is an open forum. If you ever have somebody that we'd like to include in prayers, this is a safe space for that. You don't have to give out what we're praying for, just the who and what we'd like to see accomplished. And in both these cases, for their health to improve. And also for our country. We're going to go into a very challenging time here. Things that have happened to me in the last week lead me to believe that people are not dealing with the stress very well and in healthy manners. So do try to keep yourself centered. Go out, take some deep breaths. Mark and I went and took a lovely a walk. We do take walks almost every day, but we went out into a forest and took a nice walk through there and got that great energy. I would suggest everybody do the same and just try and keep yourself as centered as possible. And on that note, on that positive note, if you have any questions, we're going to try to dive into some of these subjects a little deeper in future shows. So that if you have any questions regarding any of these topics that I talked about tonight, particularly as it relates to being a light worker and how to maybe work with some of these parameters better than you may be doing it, let's chat about that. Have some questions, or even come on as a guest on the show, and we'll have an open forum for it. Okay. So love and light. Until next time, I love you all. I thank you for watching, and look forward to seeing you sometime in the near future. And thank you very much. Take care.